I'm Ben Silverio.
I'm Erin Klein.
And I'm Ansel Birch, your host in post.
And it's time to party.
We are not doctors and we don't give medical advice. Please drink responsibly.
Yeah.
This episode was recorded on February 27th, 2021.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Time to Party.
What up, party people?
We have a really special episode of Time to Party today because in addition to both Ben and myself, we have another host for this episode.
We do.
An actual host.
Exactly. Just a quick sidebar that Ben and I are 100% sidekicks, and we have a real host with us today.
We found an adult.
We did it, you guys. So please welcome to the podcast, Stella Cheeks.
Woo!
Yay!
Wow.
I feel like people who listen to our podcast were like, oh, I know that horrible laugh. There she is. Hi.
Yeah, crossovers. I love a crossover. Speaking of crossovers, yeah, this is a fun thing we thought we'd do this month since we're talking about subject matter that Erin covers on her other podcast, or one of her other podcasts.
Yeah, one of my other podcasts. You know, the Erin Klein Podcasting Empire.
Yes.
Yeah, Stella and I host a show called X-Treks together where I teach her about the X-Files and she teaches me about Star Trek, the original series. We had to clear with Stella what movie we could watch for this podcast because we have stuff that we're watching for X-Treks, so we had to meet in the middle on this one a little. No whales allowed.
Well, look, you're not allowed to watch the whales without me. Like, part of the conceit of X-Treks is that we are sitting together and experiencing it together, and I was like, there's no way you're watching the whales without me. How fucking dare you?
Voyage home is sacred and should be treated as such.
So sorry if I ruined your podcast plans, but thanks for still letting me come on.
And so Stella is joining us today to talk about the Star Trek movie Generations. I believe this is 7, right?
It's 7.
Okay.
Yep.
This is the second Star Trek movie of the non-J.J. Abrams ones that I've ever seen. So this was a experience for me.
Because you've seen Star Trek 2009 and First Contact?
I've seen Star Trek 2009, Into Darkness, and then First Contact, which I watched with you and your soon-to-be ex-boyfriend at the time. So I remember fucking nothing about it except that it was very awkward.
Yeah, he made me watch a TNG movie when there was a lot of TOS movies available.
Yeah, it was clear you
that
were
relationship
unhappy
was doomed
the whole time.
Even though I like First Contact a lot, but still, how dare you? Undiscovered countries right there. The whales are right there the whole time.
Ridiculous.
One of my favorite Stella Cheeks gimmicks is that she hates Next Gen.
I don't hate it. I just rather watch almost every other Star Trek before I watch Next Generation.
All right. Let's start this drinking, smoking game. Ben, what's your first rule?
Yes. Okay, so to start, I had trouble settling on rules. I had a bunch that were okay, these are good possibilities, but do these happen enough that it's going to be fun? So, I don't have a ton of rules for this movie, mostly because I was trying to pay attention to all the little minute details that keep happening in the plot.
There's a lot.
That I had to recall back from the show. It's a lot. It's a whole thing. I'm probably going to talk about it in the next episode. But my first rule is similar to a rule that we had in Palm Springs. My first rule is take a shot for Whoopi Goldberg out of respect whenever
Just
you
forever.
want.
Just whenever.
Heck yeah.
Hell
Yes.
yeah.
Respect to Whoopi Goldberg.
Put respect on Whoopi's name.
Guinan is my favorite Whoopi Goldberg role. Not just because I love Star Trek, but she really, really brings a lot of gravitas to the show and grounds the show and really grounds this movie. This movie, Guinan is, I'm jumping ahead maybe, but Guinan is the fix-it of this movie because this movie was meant to bridge the gap between TOS and TNG because this is the first TNG movie technically. And at first they were well, what if we do both Enterprises somehow, MacGuffin, whatever, both Enterprises exist in the same timeline and they're trying to solve a problem together and it's a battle of the wills, which Enterprise is better. But they couldn't figure out a way for them to do that without one of the crews seeming like dicks because you can't be which one's better when you don't want to declare one better, right? So they're
We're
like,
both
well,
good guys, but screw you.
yeah, but fuck you. And so they were like, well, fuck, that's not going to work. But we want something where we have this crossover. And then I don't know if it was Berman or somebody else, but somebody was like, well, what if we use Guinan? Guinan's whole fucking past is a mystery. We can bridge that. Like we know that she escaped the Borg. We don't know tons about her. Like we use her in the show all the time as like a MacGuffin. Like we don't know what's happening. Let's just go to Guinan and see what she has to say about it. I actually,
Yo, you're super old.
Yeah.
Got anything for this?
You're super old, and like it makes sense. Like she is somebody that, as an entity in the Star Trek universe, has existed in both timelines, and she's there. So like, let's use them. She's the tie that binds the two together, and that is fucking great.
Yes.
So yeah, of course, take a shot for Guinan. Guinan fucks.
Just whenever.
Whenever you want. Like, one of my feel-good go-to things is Sister Act, for some reason.
Hell yeah.
Like, I like...
No, not for some reason. That movie rules.
Well, Sister Act and Sister Act 2, like, both of them, like, I'll go to either one. Like, putting on that finale where they sing Joyful, Joyful, when they take off all the robes and, like, break it down. Oh, my God. I just love it. It's making me happy right now, thinking about it. Like, Whoopi Goldberg is the shit, and she brings happiness. It makes me sad that the London production of Sister Act is no longer getting Whoopi Goldberg reprising that role on the West End because of COVID.
No.
Like, that would have been so joyful. You know, that would have been a fun thing for her and for the fans and people who have never seen Sister Act, because Whoopi Goldberg is a powerhouse and deserves your respect, just like J.K. Simmons.
Powerhouse deserves her respect. That's true. My first one is also about Whoopi, so I'll do mine right now.
Yes.
An unusual one for me, take a shot rule. Take a shot every time Whoopi is in a new outfit. It only happens twice.
Yeah.
Stella, what's your first rule?
All right.
I have a lot of rules.
I also
I
have
got
a lot
excited.
of rules. I do the same thing. Okay, good. I'm glad.
My first one is just in the like TOS era, but it's drink every time Kirk realizes that the Enterprise doesn't have proper staff or equipment during a
Oh my
crisis. 'Cause he's
God.
like, okay, use the tractor beam, and they're like, yeah, we don't actually have a tractor beam. Where are your nurses? We don't have a medical staff on this. Okay, use your photon torpedoes. Oh, let me guess, Tuesday. Cool.
Tuesday.
Cool.
Oh, good.
That'll get you off to a good start.
Yeah, and it's a good way to keep, because it's only like it happens a lot in a short period of time, but it doesn't happen throughout the movie. So it's just a quick like, come on, like get your engines going.
It's a good Kickstarter.
And also, one of my perpetual favorite things about Captain Kirk is that he fundamentally hates almost every other Starfleet captain. So it's a good moment of like, you fucking idiots. Why do I always have to fix things?
I mean, Cameron from Ferris Bueller isn't a great captain.
That's true. I was shocked when I saw him.
According to my husband, here's a fun fact. My husband dated Alan Ruck's niece,
Really?
apparently. I was watching this movie and Nick goes, I dated his niece.
Nice.
It's like,
What?
okay.
What?
Yep.
That's wild.
They went to college together, I
Bizarre.
guess.
I saw Alan Ruck as Max Bialystock in The Producers in my
Ooh.
hometown. It was
Oh, I buy that.
Me too. He was super
he was
good.
really good.
Did we go together?
No, I went with my family. We both went to the Wharton Center because that was where we both lived. We're from the same town. But yeah, I saw that, and I saw him in that, and he, I think, was originally cast as the character that Matthew Broderick plays, but he understudied Max Bialystock, and so when the Max was not there, he like went into that role, and then his understudy got to play his part too. He was excellent. He was
That's awesome.
very, very good Max, even though I think he would have been really good in the other part too. Anyway, he rules. I was excited to see him.
I saw him as Leo Bloom.
Leo Bloom, yes.
Yeah, I
Leo
saw him as
Bloom,
Leo
yeah.
Bloom. He was really good.
Ah.
Yeah, it was
Man, I want to see a version of The Producers where it's just Alan Ruck in both parts.
yes.
Like,
Super cut.
We have the
Absolutely.
technology. Someone
I'm
make
into
it
it.
happen.
he may not be a great Starfleet captain, but I'm into
Yeah,
Alan
I
Ruck.
agree. It's not a strong suit. He knew to give power back to Kirk, though. He was like, "I'm panicking. Please
Yeah.
do this." And Kirk was like, "You want me to take over? Absolutely. I'm here to do it. Let's go."
Kirk was waiting the whole time.
Who put that guy on the flagship? That's what I want to know.
For real?
Maiden voyage of the flagship, you picked this guy?
Because Starfleet is actually run by a bunch of idiots. That is also a theme in Star Trek, is that Starfleet is actually run by a fucking bunch of idiots, and it's the couple captains like Janeway and Kirk and Picard and Sisko who hold the whole thing together.
Every time we meet another captain, it's rarely a good experience.
Yeah.
And the admirals are even worse.
Oh, well, and yeah, like most of the TOS movies and even the like Kelvin universe movies are about like how Starfleet is inept and you need Captain Kirk to come save you. Like that's just a theme.
I wonder if you had a series about a different captain also doing it. If like, is there a timeline where like the Enterprise got smashed into something and a different captain had to go change all of history so that the Enterprise didn't smash into a planet or whatever? Like how many variations of all of this are mosaicked throughout the entirety of the Star Trek universe?
I mean, TOS just casually invents time travel in like the 4th episode, so like it's been happening since the beginning. So
Wild.
Yup.
All right, we're reeling it back in. I'm doing the host
Yes.
thing now. How did I wind up as
Pull
the
it back
host?
in.
Because
There we
I've
go.
never seen fucking any Star Trek, so I'm like, I don't have a tangent. I'm ready to pull it back in, everybody.
There you
What is
go.
your next
Good on
rule?
ya.
My next rule is lame compared to that one. But it happens consistently. Drink every time someone says captain.
Oh my god.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I have a rule that's similar to that, but won't kill you. I said drink every time Kirk and Picard call each other captain.
Oh, I like that.
That's a good one.
Because it's also cute.
That's a good package with your other one, because there's a lot in the beginning and then a lot towards the end.
Well, and it also like goes off the idea of like Kirk hates almost every other captain, and there's something about Picard that he like, because Kirk has a good read on people, and there's something about Picard that he's like, all right, I vibe with you. I'll follow you.
You're the captain of the
You're a
Enterprise,
captain I
not
can
that dumb
respect.
chucklehead I was with.
Yeah, I'll call you captain. That's cool.
So what's our next drinking rule or smoking rule?
I think it's me. Take a drink every time there's hand-to-hand combat. Also something that happens kind of sporadically, but like there's a decent amount of it throughout this. I mostly did drinking rules. I got to the end of the movie and realized I hadn't written down a single rule, so I had to go back and be like, oh shit, I have to like, what happened in this movie? I'll take some notes on this. So this is a...
Right? It's hard because you're like engulfed in everything that's going on. Like you're trying to keep it all together.
Yeah, I was really invested. Yeah, exactly. And so by...
The Star Trek pacing is strong.
I literally didn't write a single rule until Kirk died at the end. I was like, oh shit, I gotta write stuff down.
Spoiler.
Babies. I have a similar drinking rule, but it's specifically drink every time there's an old man fight.
Yes! Yes! Oh, that's good. There's so many good old man fights in this. I love old man
There
fights.
So many good old
are.
man fights.
Love it. I think I wrote that down.
Are we including verbal fights?
I guess you could do verbal fights, but I was just thinking more like Malcolm McDowell and like Patrick Stewart punching each other in the face.
Yep.
Also, like, shout out to Picard because he really levels up for the next film. He kind of gets his ass kicked in this movie, and then he was like, no more, I'm hitting the gym. Because he like kicks ass physically in First Contact, but in this one he was like, I don't know, I just got punched off a bridge.
I enjoy that Picard occasionally is a goddamn commando.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember that commando
was like,
episode
"I
with
gotta
him
level up."
and Crusher, where they're like in the full tactical suits and they go in and like get stuck in a cave, because that's definitely what that was supposed to be. But yeah,
Yeah. That was supposed to be a romance moment for them.
and it worked. But yeah, full on commandos.
Yeah, it did.
It's like we don't see that a lot.
Ben, what's your next rule?
This is actually my last rule because everything was so hard to go back to. I don't know. I spent the majority of this movie like trying to straighten out what the fuck was happening. Like, wait, what's Sauron's plan? Like, I don't know.
I just accepted everything. I was like, it'll make sense later, I guess. Just let it all go.
Well, I thought it made sense.
This is why we had you on this
Exactly.
episode, because this all makes sense to you.
He had to blow up some stars to move the gravitational pull of the Nexus so that it would jump onto the planet, because you can't fly into the Nexus. And he didn't care about killing people because the Nexus was like his warm, happy, perfect place. And he was like, fuck everybody else. I want my blanket back. That's what
And they
happens.
explained it in a scene with emotional stakes.
That's,
Yeah. Anyways, Ben, what's your
but
drinking rule?
actually, you know what? Now I have an additional one because I remember the other thing that I spent this movie doing was making jokes about the Nexus, the wrestling faction, because I was watching it with my roommate Warwick, and he loves the Nexus, so we just kept cracking Nexus jokes. So if you're a wrestling fan and watching this movie, take a drink every time you're making jokes about Wade Barrett, Skip Sheffield, and Michael McGillicuddy.
Very specific crossover.
Yeah, you know.
Very specific.
Hilarious.
How about we just do a drink every time they say Nexus?
I have one like
They
that.
actually don't say it that much.
a lot, yeah.
But it does come up.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it won't kill you. You would think that it would kill you, but they actually don't, because they also call it the ripple
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, that's true. Or the ribbon.
Yeah, the ribbon.
The ribbon, yeah.
Yeah, the ribbon.
That's
not the
one of
ripple.
mine.
Whatever. Ripple in space and time.
That was one of mine. Take a hit every time you see the time ribbon, because it happens a pretty decent amount. I wouldn't want to do it as like a drinking rule, but as a smoking rule, I think it works okay. And at the end, you're like, "Ooh, I'm blazed for this old man, battled to the death."
With no music, which I love. I love a fight with no
I
music.
love that the music in this is so good, and then there's just no music for this old man battle. You just get to watch them punch each other with no overscore. It's great.
Yeah, it's great.
Stella, what's your next rule?
Throw yourself off a bridge when you see Data smile. That's what I wrote. But I guess a real one that goes with that is drink every time Data has an inappropriate emotional response.
Man.
And that also is up to you to gauge what you think is an inappropriate emotional
All
response.
of them.
Yeah, I hate
Yeah.
seeing. It's like, and also like, I mean, I don't like Brett Spiner, but like, kudos to him. He does a good job as Data, that he makes the emotions feel uncomfortable for the person watching it too. Like the way he smiles and laughs is like very
Oh, his
upsetting,
whole
and like
face.
that is a good
It's very
like
creepy.
yeah, that's a good actor choice.
Yes.
Because it makes it is really uncomfortable, and you can see the people around him too being like, "What is happening?" So yeah, technically I wrote "throw yourself off a bridge when you see Data smile," but you can actually drink every time Data has an inappropriate
that's a good
emotional
one.
response.
You're good at this.
Yeah.
This is am I getting replaced on this
Thanks.
podcast?
Stella and I already do too many podcasts together. We can't do 3. We will throw each other off a bridge.
Yeah, I only also
Yeah.
want to talk about Star Trek, so.
All right.
Joke's on you. It's just a Star Trek
Right now
podcast
we're just talking about Star Trek.
All right, so this is actually my
Okay.
last one that I didn't just make up on the spot. Drink every time someone says or every time you see the word Enterprise.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
That's
Yeah, it happens a
Enterprise.
lot at the beginning, you know, but I figured get you on a good
Get
start.
rolling. Right,
you know?
exactly. We got lots of front heavy rules for this one, because then you can just sit
Yes.
back and relax.
And you can crack all the Nexus jokes you want after that.
Exactly.
Remember, this is a choose your own adventure game.
Yeah.
Don't do all of
Good
them.
lord, don't do all
Right.
of them.
Please
Don't
don't
do
do
all
that.
of
Pick the ones
them.
that you like and you think will be fun. In fact, if you're playing in a room
Yes.
with lots of people, which you shouldn't be doing during quarantine, but hopefully by the time this comes out, you'll be out of quarantine and or vaccinated.
Just popping in from August of 2021 to say womp womp.
Everyone should pick different rules. That's the best way to play it as a group, is that individually people start to get excited about like, ooh, that's my rule. Ooh, that's my rule. And then people will like companion drink. Even
I
when it's
like
not
that a lot.
when it's not your rule, you'll still drink with other people because
Yep.
you're like, ooh, you're so excited about this that I'll also take a drink for this. So it's I think that that's the best way to do it when you have a group of like more than 3 people, basically. That way everyone's kind of at their own pace and you're looking for what you're interested in. Also applies to smoking, but like, just smoke whenever. It's fine.
Just smoke whatever,
Cool,
cool, casual.
Stella, what's your next rule?
Drink every time Soren looks at his fancy little watch. I like a pocket watch, okay?
That's a good
The
one.
metaphor of the movie.
Time. It's happening. Take a hit every time the plot gets unexpectedly dark. It happens so many times that I didn't feel comfortable making it a drinking
So many
rule.
times. So many times.
Tone is very dark several times, so
It is
to
dark.
take a hit and make yourself feel a little lighter. Stella, what's your next rule?
Finish your drink when Riker's dramatic ass says, fire. Because it's such a good shot, too. Because you see Worf being like, we're ready. And then it's like a zoom in of Jonathan Frakes' face. And he like turns and it's like, fire. And it's a really, really good one. So that's a finish your
Do
drink
you think
for me.
Frakes ran over to the camera and was like, look, this is how you're going to shoot this shot. Don't argue with me.
Yeah, 100%. Jonathan Frakes directed a lot of that stuff. So yeah,
I love
definitely.
that. I didn't know that. I also have a finish your drink rule. Finish your drink when there's an explosion. There's only 2 big ones, so, you know, sorry if it happens at the beginning to you, but also you're welcome.
R.I.P. Duras sisters.
Do you have another one, Stella?
I wrote, pour one out for Spock every time Kirk says Antonia.
I have questions about Antonia, but we'll get into that in the second episode.
Okay, I have answers about it. Do you have any more? I have one more.
Yes, I have 2 more. So take a shot when the Enterprise separates just because it looks really fucking cool when that happens. So treat yourself with a shot.
They love a
They
saucer
finally
separation
got a
on
new
TNG.
saucer separation visualization.
It was really cool. Having never seen this or seen that version of the Enterprise, really, I was like, this is really cool. This is clearly
It's
for
dope.
people like me, too, who are like, I kind of am interested in Star Trek, but I don't know a lot. I'll watch this movie and like, oh, this is dope. It was really cool. I really enjoyed
good.
it.
So I think in a lot of ways that was them coming back to early TNG, where they did a saucer separation with some frequency. It wasn't like
In the
all
pilot.
the damn time. But yeah, it happened in the pilot. But then they reused the same model footage of the saucer separation 6 or 7 times, I feel. Like it was a bunch. Where it's like, well, better do a saucer separation. It was the same sequence.
It's like in Power Rangers when they turn into a Megazord. It's like the
Exactly.
same sequence every time.
Yep.
Star Trek Beyond, which is part of the Kelvin timeline, has a fantastic saucer separation scene and like that, and it actually like moves the plot along, and it's really great. See, I like part of the Kelvin timeline, but the third one is the best because it was written by Simon Pegg, who like actually gives a shit about Star
I
Trek.
didn't know that he
Right.
wrote the third one.
He wrote the third one, and you can tell that somebody who actually watched Star Trek wrote the movie.
Yep.
All right, what's your last rule, Stella?
Finish your drink when he says, "Call me Jim."
That was so good.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, that was. I was very pleased with that. That was really nice.
And it's a good build for like if you drink every time Kirk and Picard call each other captain, and then like a finish your drink on Call Me Jim. That's like a nice build because you probably don't have a lot left in that drink.
That's a really good one. I like that one a lot. All right, I have one final rule. My last one is start a blunt each time Kirk dies. Just gonna leave that as an open-ended one. All right, I think that's it for episode 1.
That's it.
God knows
did
we've
it.
already started doing episode 2 inside of episode 1.
And plenty of episode 4 as well.
So let's sign this one out.
Don't worry, I have lots more facts.
Fantastic.
Oh, yes.
All right. All right, that was our first episode of Star Trek Generations. We hope you enjoyed that drinking and smoking game. Please don't do all of the rules. You'll die. We don't want that. Again,
Yes.
as Ansel says at the beginning, we are not doctors. We do not give medical advice.
No.
Do not do all of these. But we hope you enjoyed what all wound up in this episode. God knows some of it's going to be in another episode. You're welcome, everybody. Thank you, Stella, for joining us for this drinking and smoking game. You can find all of us on the internet. You can find me on Instagram at NYDurgency.
On Instagram and Twitter, I'm at bsilverio20.
I'm on Twitter at Stella_Cheeks.
I am at Indecisionist on Twitter and at The Indecisionist on Instagram. Special thanks to Marlon Longett of Marlon and the Shakes for our amazing theme song, and to April Moralba for our podcast art. This has been an Indecisionist production.
And you can all join the conversation by using the hashtag time2party. That's time, the number 2 party. So until next time, party people, be excellent to each other.
And party on, dudes! Air guitar! In space!
Oh, so it's just this, but you can't hear it.
Right, yeah, it's just us
Right, you
making
can't
these
hear
weird movements. Kind of like what happens to the people listening to this podcast who can't actually see us doing this.
Yeah, pretty much.
Congratulations, everyone! You're in space!